Okay, good day, everyone. You guys are welcome to today's review. So my name is Rotimi. I'm CEO, I am lead instructor, trainer, everything, anything AI at Kini AI. And I'm not here alone. I'm here with my guy. He's right on the call. So shout outs.
Hi everyone, my name is Osaz. I am a product designer. I lead design here at Kini AI as well, and yeah, just an all-round design guy. Nice to be here.
Yes. So if you've been keeping up with the news lately, you know Google just dropped a bombshell, like literally. They have their annual events, majorly for developers. They call it Google I/O. That's when they just share with the world what they've been working on and different, research and products that they've added on. So that's basically what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be reviewing this year's Google's I/O, as you can see on the screen, and there is a lot, especially, of course,
Mm.
they're really pushing for this idea on artificial intelligence. I know, a lot of people had responded to the ways that they've been lacking behind. OpenAI from nowhere just comes around and sweeps them off their feet,
Yeah.
and you get. So they're like, okay, no worry, don't worry, guys. Everybody chill out, chill out. We know what we're doing. You get, and boom, they did not take back any slaves at this time. They are just rolling it all out. So basically, that's what we're going to be doing. So as you can see here, we have on their page, if you just look up Google I/O, 2025, you see they have a dedicated blog for that. But we can't do all that now, but we're just going to be going through one by one based on whatever they announced. And we'll see, what this means for us, what this means for you, and how we can make sense of it, really. And especially what we can start using now, because a good number of some of these features, some of them only available to the guys in the US, or coming later soon, or some of them are actually available now. But we're going to be discussing some of these things and we'll see, yeah, what's making sense in all of them. Abi, Osas.
Um, yeah, I mean everything you've said just spot on. I remember like the previous years where everybody was dragging Google that is this what you guys can come up with? And I still remember also like the buzz when people were calling out how almost all the words, but they were counting the number of times AI was being mentioned. And it's interesting to see how we've pretty much transitioned to like the conference being pretty much like fully AI. Like nobody's expecting less at this time. So I think it's pretty cool to see. Though I can't wait for a time when we will not be the ones carrying last. We're waiting for them to launch in the US. I'm looking forward to the time it will literally be getting tools just out here in Africa
Mhm. Yeah,
first.
first, well, we have to build it.
Right?
Yeah, if we do it, then we'll release to our
Yeah,
people. Basically, I guess
Abby.
I'm sure they are using that to kind of check out like early testers to see control
Mhm.
the environment before they roll it out at scale. Because anything that
Mhm.
comes out from Google is like the whole world and it just has to be right. Okay, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, let's just jump right in. I know the first thing they talked about how they've really, really, been shipping since last year's IO, even from 2024,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
If you can see this well. You got different things
Mhm.
that you launched, Learn LM, Alpha 43, Gemini 1.5 flight. It's interesting how, just May 2025, they were still talking Gemini 1.5. And right now,
In 2024.
May 2024, what was discussed is
Mhm.
Gemini 1.5. And right now, we're already talking about Gemini 2.5. As in, just to let you know how they are just hitting back to back.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot just on the screen here. You see everything, and not just the
Mhm.
um AI, like generative AI stuff alone. The other things too. You get AlphaFold, you get
Mhm.
AlphaGo and things like that that touches other aspects. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm really to you know some of ways that these things are being put in place. Okay, so let's just jump
Yeah.
to um yeah.
I
The
was going
first
to
thing.
say 1 minute, 1 minute of silence for Bart. Because I believe it
Mm,
was at 2024, like they moved past Bard as and moved like
right,
committed fully to Gemini.
right.
So
Yeah,
Bard, we miss you, we loved you. Thank you for opening the door
for,
to
for,
Gemini.
for paving the way.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That do you know? I forgot bad ever existed. Yeah. All right.
That's how fast tech is moving.
Yes, from research to reality, a lot of everything they've done, you get, is a product of, the like over a decade at least of research. I remember
Mhm.
this first one, Google Beam, they called it Project Starline in-house. I remember like
Yeah.
2 years ago, I watched a preview. You get, I think MKBHD actually did, went to their
Yeah, he did.
studio. Exactly.
Yeah, I
Like, wow.
remember.
Mhm. So what this does, let me just yes, so we can all see exactly what it is. So it's like the way you have conference call, like we're having a Zoom call and everybody is stuck within that flat 2D, just tiny box. It
Yeah.
depends on how big the laptop is. You get that's the maximum size you can see. But they've, created this technology where, there's a sense of presence, like some depth from the preview that we're looking at, it looks like the people, it's like you are there. It's like you are right there. It's interesting.
To
Yeah.
be fair, do you know what this reminds me of?
Well,
Have you seen all those prison movies where they come to see like the inmates?
yeah. I
I
don't,
can't shake that feeling. It feels
hmm.
like that.
Yeah, that's giving some ideas though.
That's
But
what
yeah,
it feels like.
I imagine the future where when like companies have AGMs and people have to travel around the world to come around and have stuff meetings. You imagine where you can now set this up and it's like everybody. I imagine how there will be a large scale of it, not just for one-to-one. This is how one-to-one is applied. But
Yeah,
the first use case is, corporate enterprise level where companies, can easily do this for meetings for starters,
yeah,
you know. Uh, Part of what somebody was sharing was part of the research that even bred this is people get tired of virtual meetings, because your brain is just telling you, let me just get away with this. And there's really that depth level of connection is usually not there, but from the early testers, there are reports that, people feel less stressed after, having sessions with this Google Beam. It's just amazing.
but I wonder it's not just maybe because of that the novel technology that makes people feel less stressed. I'm of the opinion that people, if it becomes more mainstream, like people are just going to be like, ah, that's in
It's
fatigue. Because when we started
normal.
using Zoom for
Mm.
calls during the pandemic, like a lot of us were excited about it, having our cameras on, we had this whole structure. And then now everybody's just like, please, I'm tired. Don't I can't bother to get dressed and all of that for this call. So I feel well, let's see. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, but I think it makes a lot of sense. The first version that they did it was a lot bigger than this. It wasn't looking this refined. So I can imagine how they can make it
Mm.
a world where they will make it like consumer, grade ready, where the average person will be able to have one of this in their home. You get, imagine family
Which
meeting, you get,
sorry,
yeah, yeah.
which brings me to like the next, like my next question. Is it the screen itself that is a device, or does it come like this whole bundle? And then I have to buy this whole thing again just because I want to make phone, I want to make a call, right? It
Okay,
feels
so
like
yeah, yeah, it's actually the screen. The screen is a setup, right? Let me play this video so you can see.
My name is Vasu Subramanian. I'm on the business development team for Google Beam.
Me llamo Carlos y soy un programador aquí en Google. Hola, Vasu.
Hey, Carlos. Welcome to Google Beam. How are you? How do you like this experience?
¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo te gusta esta experiencia?
Se me hace muy raro.
It seems very strange to me to hear you speak Spanish. It's amazing.
This is a live, real-time translation that we're both experiencing at the same time.
Experimentando al mismo tiempo.
Tu español lo hablas muy bien. You speak Spanish very well.
The technology is magic. To actually then interact with him in perfect English and to know that I was being translated in real time was really wonderful.
Si empiezas a hablar con esta persona, te olvidas de que esto es una conversación de videollamada, porque la sensación es que tienes una persona enfrente tuyo. Como el mío no era acento español, pero lo podía entender perfectamente.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, first off, I did not know that they included the live translation thing.
Right.
Yeah, even though it's part of the
Okay.
announcement, but it actually does make sense. So I was even trying to show the setup of the beam. It comes, let me see if I can pull that image up. Google Beam. It comes with some cameras. Yeah, exactly. So this is kind of how it looks like. Yeah. So it comes with some, cameras that captures the depths, like a 3D. So each layer adds some depth to it. So this is the, so if you are buying the Google Beam device, this is what you will buy. Yeah, basically.
I think just, to be honest, I like the idea of it, but it feels like clutter at this time, because how many people are buying these new gadgets for specific things? We've gone to the point, I mean, since the iPhone, we are moving towards devices, single devices that can do everything. And then now I have a different device that feels like a fridge that's just there. When I need to do certain things, I'll go to the fridge and then have it. So I don't know. I wonder if, and maybe this is like stuff that we're actually going to learn a bit more about, but if it feels like a webcam, or how does it happen? And maybe we might just need to wait for our current TV technology to like really begin to adopt some of these technologies that make this possible. Well, I imagine that much later in the future, it should be something like a webcam that you just have on your device. And rather than buy an entirely new device, you just, utilize this plug-in or add-on, versus like buying this whole giant gadgets that I don't know how many people have space in their house to have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess first adopters would be like all these business guys, if at all.
Yes, I don't think they have regular guys for regular use in mind first. You get, because the obvious use case is meetings, you get, or catching up with friends. I think it's just mostly enterprise use. But it makes sense, when you just like just get a webcam and attach it around your already established screens. Maybe I see a world where there would be like a minimum that can really achieve that immersion. So I don't think you can just have like a 32-inch screen and that would be it. Even though it should just look like you're watching a 3D video. But yeah, let's see where this goes. So yeah, that's one of the announcements that was made, Google Beam. And they said, they also talked about the live translation. I think that's something else. I know we already saw that, but for me, honestly, the live translation was already, I already have a use case for it. Because somebody, a French speaker, reached out for like some training and consultation. I'm like, okay, I mean, this is where AI comes to the rescue. And I was already thinking of, okay, how do I do it? I can't speak French. All I know is bonjour, bonjour. I'm like, okay, how do I do it? Do I get Gemini, all these live translates, either ChatGPT or Gemini or stuff on my own end? When I speak it, it was already getting complicated, but I'm like, let me just chill first. I was like, or do I do a pre-recording, and just, record and all that and send to the person? So while I was watching the IO live, and this was another, I'm like, yes, yes, this is it. So I already have a use case for this, and I'm really excited that they are just thinking of how these Gen AI solutions can actually be useful. Although the first the first language is Spanish, but I'm definitely sure that they'll make it more available to other languages. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, speaking of other languages, I'm not holding my breath for certain languages in this part of the world. I just know that I prefer to get to us, because just looking at that, I imagine that this is built a lot on what already exists with like Google Translate. And we know that on this side that we still have a lot of struggle with like being able to translate like contextually. It still does it. It still tends to do a lot of like word for word, which doesn't really like communicate a lot of the experience. But I think it's interesting. I think it's pretty interesting, and it's interesting again because I know that one of the things I really like about this AI development is like you see something happen before, and then you're like, there'll be an application. I think that one of the things that first went mainstream. I remember earlier on when we were still in the Will Smith spaghetti days of AI video. Um, I remember like seeing videos of people who were translating like this is a pre-recorded video and it was being like it was translated to another language, but it's mounted the same way it lip synced as well. I was imagining that I would have seen it on YouTube by now, or maybe somebody's using it on YouTube, but I just don't have that access. But I was imagining I would see it on YouTube at least like first. But seeing it that they are pushing it to a live application,
Yeah.
I'm eager to see the use cases. I'm eager to see the use cases
Yeah,
and what that will sound like.
yeah. Actually, the dubbing is already an option, for YouTubers where you record your video in your own language, then it picks it up and dubs it into other languages. So when you're watching, you can actually change the language. Now, it doesn't do the lip sync thing, obviously, but you would hear the voice. Actually, it even renders in the voice of the speaker. You get it renders it in the voice of the speaker. I know 11 Labs also has that feature where you can just convert, a video, YouTube video, whatever video, to dub in, a different language. But this one, like the live translation part, I'm like, wow, this just makes sense. I already see how different, devices can feature this feature, if I would say. I imagine where you can have the earphones, Beats or the Apple's earphones, just having that live translation feature where if someone speaks to you, of course, because there are microphones there, it can pick. There's an AI gymnastic somewhere, maybe on device that sends it and translate, and boom, you'll be hearing. That is already a reality. I will not be surprised if I just get one announcement like, yeah, Apple AirPods now doing live translation, back, 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 back. So it's exciting.
I feel like it should. I feel like that should even already exist because again, we have seen some of these things, or at least some models or some ideas where we've had like that. I feel like somebody has demoed something like this before where it would be like automatically, but it's good to see that the tech is catching up. I think it's good to see that the tech is finally catching up and becoming more mainstream. So it's not like this very secluded thing. Because I believe that many of these things have been using it for a very long time, and they're just gradually releasing it so that people can get into the flow. But I'm curious to see how this works because the videos I've been seeing, he has that English. He has the original language first, and then it is. I don't know if is it exactly live, or does it work the way a physical translator works?
I think there's some latency in between for obvious reasons. There has to be that processing, but maybe it feels like a 2 seconds gap, and I can imagine. I mean, by the way, Samsung's, I think S25 already has a similar feature where there's a live translation where you are in translation. It's just not plugged in using earphones. So what I think is they are probably using like a Gemini Flash, to quickly capture and do the. No, wait a minute. It's a multimodal system anyway. So there's no conversion from audio to text to audio. So it just converts the audio in a language to another language. So there will have been some fine tuning, about that kind of a workflow that will just make it possible. So definitely I would expect at least 1 or 2 seconds of lag. So it's like the way we also have conversational AI, like 11 Labs offers, where you can just, instead of having a chatbot based text based, you can also have that conversation back and forth when you speak, and there's a real-time processing and a real-time feedback. So I imagine that is the same technology that, would power this live translation. But just like you said, it's just making it mainstream. Like startups have ideas and they push out, but of course they don't have that amount of reach that these big players have. Imagine whatever Apple does or whatever Google does, like everybody almost immediately, but other ones, like they will see they climb small, small. But yeah, I'm excited for this. Like I'm really, really excited. And this kind of thing when they say tech empowers business people,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm really looking forward to how, this spreads. What I'm even thinking about is maybe we can get to a place where we can fine tune with our own native language. When there aren't options of certain languages on the menu, maybe okay, now they're doing Spanish. I can imagine that it will make sense to do translations for major languages around the world. You get, I hope there will be an option where we can, train our own language and fine tune, and where from whatever language that we pick as primary, we can translate to. I imagine where I'm having a meeting and it's a Yoruba person, you get, or an Igbo person, you get, and I can't speak any of that language, but I can speak English. You get, so where English would just be like the universal basic language first, or maybe they're probably like two or three, global, languages. Then we can now have our own choices of imputing. You get, or maybe they can allow that for developers where create solutions where maybe like an add-on to Google Meets, where you plug into the live translation feature, but allowing people to actually put in their own languages in. That's already that's already a product there.
Yeah, interesting. I'm seeing applications in customer experience, particularly, even though I know that these days a lot of customer service roles are even being replaced by AI entirely, but down to like the native calls where you're calling people who might not be like on a physical video call, like speaking with people in their indigenous languages and being able to give them useful answers. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. Cool. All right, so that's it. Bottom line, live translation now coming soon. I don't think they've shipped it yet. Okay, this is a feature that is not yet shipped. Yes, I don't think it's yet. So, but I'm sure as soon
At
as,
least publicly.
yeah, exactly. I'm sure as soon as it drops, everybody will get it. So, yes, Project Astra, Gemini Live. I think this is also another announcement that was made. So long story of this is, the way you have, I mean, have you seen the horror movie? That movie,
I mean, I saw a part of it. I didn't finish it, but I know the whole dilemma with like,
yeah.
I know where
So,
it went. Yeah, I know where it went.
so I think that's basically what they've created here. It's okay. So premise, if you've not watched it, guys, go and watch it. It's a very nice movie. AI, taking AI is the operating system. So of course the way of using your computer primarily is by voice. You can speak. So of course you can carry that OS even in your phone. So the way we have ChatGPT on our phone, and we can also have it on our computer, basically. But now they now allow us have a live conversation. Now that feature is already available, but now they've added the capacity or the ability to share video feed or share your screen, basically. So that's like the new updates, for the Google Live, Gemini Live rather. Yes. And for me, even before let me check. Yeah. Before it's actually came up in the way it did, when I use AI Studio, it's something I already use. You get to, brainstorm or to do like a troubleshooting. I'm trying to do one or two things here and there. I'm able to share screen. Now, I don't really do the video feed thing. I mean, I don't need Gemini to be looking at me. What am I showing? But there was a time I did a test, in the hospital. These medical tests, and they come with their jargons, and you need to see a specialist before you can understand what it's. I just put up Gemini on my phone, and again, before it was launched, I checked it out and I just discussed. I said, "What does this mean?" And of course, he started explaining it. I'm like, "Okay," and I was asking questions just like I would a medical doctor. I'm like, "Okay, this is something," you know. So this one already is live on Android, on iOS. You can now use Gemini Live. This means that you can, just interact with Gemini. You can show Gemini things. You can speak with it. It will speak back to you. You can brainstorm. Maybe you don't even have a soft copy of any document or whatsoever. You can imagine where you have notebooks or scribbles here and there. You can just pull out your phone, share, video feed with Gemini and have that conversation. I think that's definitely going to be very helpful for a lot of people, day one.
Yeah, and I think that this is bringing us closer to like our ideal Jarvis, where people have like an assistant that cuts across like different mediums. And the thing about Google is that I feel like they've kind of had all of these technologies like in just little ways. For instance, I've been using Google Lens for like the longest time. Google Lens is something that you can literally interact with. It's not, well, it's live. Like you can take a picture right there in that moment and get it instantly translated, or you can query it. So seeing them now bringing that same capability and introducing it with video, and then linking it with like the rest of the Google Suite, your Gmail, your Google Assistant. I feel like we are getting to that point where the Google Assistant is actually powerful and much more useful, because you have to use like Gemini as one thing, use Google Lens as another thing, use Google Search as one other thing, and they didn't seem to be like this sync between them. So this just I think it's opens up a ton of other capabilities. But then I wonder, is this not similar to what OpenAI had demoed like some years back? And where exactly is OpenAI on that?
Yeah, it is exactly. It's exactly the same thing. And now everybody is fighting to be the first. So, but the thing is, OpenAI, I even up till now, I don't think they've shipped for everybody. You get,
Right.
they have. You get, so it's exactly the same thing. So see, I think OpenAI just has this thing of, because they came out with the whole consumer app for Gen AI, they want to remain in the front. So they have a way of teasing out, wonderful features that make everybody go, wow. And they'll be like, yeah, just so you know what we have on that, up and coming. And they were just like the way they did with Sora. You get their video model is like, wow, wow, wow. And it took months before they shipped. You get, even as we speak, I don't think they've not shipped, their live feed where you can actually show, video. At least not that I know of. You get, so you see how this guy is using this. You can just pull out your phone, maybe you're in a place. I can imagine people getting lost. You get, and you can just show Gemini a landmark or something, and it can kind of figure out where at.
And that exists as well in Google Maps. Like Google Maps actually has that feature where you can look around and identify landmarks, and it will tell you exactly like where you are, at least where you're trying to get to, where you're going to. If you identify a certain landmark, it now navigates you based on that place too. So yeah, it's that whole thing of finally piecing things together.
Absolutely. Yes. So yeah. So that's it though. I mean, there was a video they showed in the live presentation about this same guy trying to fix a bike. I mean, like, wow. Yes, I'm like, wow. Just having conversations here and there. Let me see if I can pull it up. Having a conversation, trying to, let's see, is it here?
Yeah. Do you know what I kept on thinking when that guy was doing this? I was like, oh, this guy, please don't annoy these robots, because when they take over, they're coming for you, because he literally kept on switching. Like, I guess that's the idea of multitasking, where he was literally switching from one thing to the other. I was like, what is going on here, bro?
Yeah. Okay. Is this it? I think. This is
that's
it.
Hey, go online and look for a user's manual for a Huffy mountain bike.
I have found a user manual for you. What would you like to know about it?
Okay, cool. Now scroll until you find the section about the brakes.
Sure thing. Looking for that page now.
I think I stripped this screw. Can you go on YouTube and find a video for how to fix that?
Of course. I'm opening YouTube now. This looks like a good video.
Place a rubber band over the head of the screw.
Oh, nice. Thanks. Can you go through my emails with the bike shop and find which size hex nut I need?
Sure. According to the email from Bicycle Habitat, you need a 3/8" hex nut for your sprocket. I've highlighted the correct bin for you.
It seems like I need a spare tension screw. Can you call the nearest bike shop and see what they have in stock?
Yep, calling them now. I'll get back to you with what they have in stock.
I think my brake pads are wearing down. Can you check the manual again and see if it talks about them anywhere?
According to the manual, if you look on page 24,
Do you want to get lunch?
Yeah, give me 5 minutes. Can you finish what you were saying?
as I was saying, if you look on page 24, section 2, you'll see how to replace the brake pads.
Hey, any updates on that call?
Yep, I just got off of the bike shop. They confirmed they have your tension screw in stock. Would you like me to place a pickup order?
Could you show me some examples of dog baskets I could put on my bike?
Sure, I can help you with that. Just give me a moment. Here are some options. I think Zuka would look really great in these.
Oh, Mom. Oh my God. As in, oh my God. This is, I just kept thinking Tony Stark, man. This is literally how it works.
And you know, because you're like the biggest Tony Stark fan. Iron Man.
I'm like, I said, I did like this when I was watching it. I said, yeah, I hear you. I said, even the part of when he said he should call a bike shop to see they have a particular screw. And
yeah,
what kind of thing that would have happened for that to be possible? That means Jarvis, I said Jarvis. Gemini looked up the shop, got the phone number, dialed the on a call. Now I don't know how they will use the credits now, but now online call, actual credit from the phone. Engaged in a conversation.
A convincing conversation.
You get engaged in a conversation. Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have this? Check if his wallet is able to pay for it, make payment for it, place the order. As in, you get just that thing of pay, okay, yeah, just, can you check this shop that they have? He said, yeah, I already did that. I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is what a time to be alive, like they say. So
what a time.
But I mean, so I don't know if that level of control has been shipped for everybody. I know we can probably do the whole talk show landmark and all, but to do things, I know that they've been talking about that.
I don't think they will, because I remember the first time they had this AI calling someone on their behalf. I think they launched it during I think it was a Google Pixel launch, and that was one of the features that they made, that your assistant can make calls for you. I've not gotten that feature yet. This 2025, and I think that was in 2022. So I don't know, but
I mean, let's wait and see. I'm sure they're just being very careful, because
it's actually something to be careful about.
Yeah, a lot can go. Now, 11 Labs already has that feature. I think even today I saw a release on how you can now do batch calls. There's a way. I mean, I didn't read the detail, but I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can, of course, pulling out agents here and there that can, so
batch calls.
So you know what just comes to mind? There was an era where we had old emails. I think that has ended. Right now, it's no longer just emails. Even, people would say they spin off custom emails, and it's now warm mails. Right now, AI agents call people up, with certain, of course, before you call people, you have profiled them, their names, a bit about them, and you can actually have an AI agent that will engage in a meaningful conversation. What are we saying? Definitely, business has to be rethought. Markets, everything has to be.
Do you understand? Because it's something that just the savings in time, because literally all those calls can happen at the same instance, and you're going to get everything documented. You're going to get insights. You're going to have all of this, like literally, in a day or in an hour, and everything is done. Versus like on a normal day, you would call like all your agents. So one agent probably call like 20 people in a day. They'll be exhausted. They will be trying. This one will have a great attitude throughout. I think it's
cross time zones. Do you understand? You know the way typical person 9 to 5. Our 9 to 5, so we can only do what we can do within our own 9 to 5. But then if you have an agent running, you can call around the clock, literally.
Exactly. Which is even which is the advantage of like this system, because I remember when I first heard about it was also an IO where they announced like self-driving cars. And really the advantage that they had was like the cars had run, that simulation had been run like how many billion times. And so they have learned from different instances, different lifetimes, literally, and all of them are connected to that same system. So they have learned from repeating it over and over again. I think it's crazy to think about. But I think another thing that's really crazy to think about is how would you feel like receiving an AI call? Do you think you would know? Or if you find out that it was an AI call, like how would you now feel like after it?
It's where regulation comes in, where there has to be transparency. I know I typically receive robocalls from, I don't know, Bayana, Etel, I don't even know right now, where you can recording of a call. I don't even listen to, the way you block it, but after a while they'll change it. They'll call you and you just know that this is, but you can imagine where you get that kind of a call and it feels like you're actually talking to somebody.
Because they're talking, like they're asking you questions and you're responding.
They greet you, they wait for you.
Yes.
How are you doing? I'm fine. You get, maybe the conversation can go a certain direction and they'll find a way to get it back. I'm like, wow. It's amazing. So I'm looking forward to how regulators will come in to see, okay, if you are, doing robocall, like agent calls and all that stuff, how do we declare, the way you call customer care and they tell you this call will be recorded,
forwarded,
for improvement purposes and all that stuff. So would there be like a disclaimer or something? I don't know. But hey, let's see. We're going to figure this out all together. So basically that's Project Astra called Gemini Live. So next they talked about another project, in-house. They called it Project Marina. Of course, you know what comes to mind. Lagos Island.
What comes to mind is like, I think I don't know if there's a superhero called Marina in like the superhero universe. I don't know, but it's giving like Aquaman or something. I should probably Google that stuff.
Abby?
Let me check.
Project Marina. In my head, I'm like, if only these guys lived in Lagos. So, but yeah, they've finally packaged it and they're giving it a fine name, Agent Mode. So what is Agent Mode really? So I think we all get the idea of AI doing stuff for you. I think first context is the AI systems that we have, at least most people use, is ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Claude, Meta, Perplexity, and so on. But it typically ends at conversation. You get at least what mostly popular. So you can brainstorm, you go back and forth, you want to create content on your social media, you want to do a research, you can go back and forth in that dialogue and that kind of thing, which is good. But now the idea of having this agent mode is where you pretty much set up a task or what you want to do and it does it. Meaning, say you want to do a research, maybe you have a market research you're trying to do and you want to do a publication, or no, that one's even too far, and you want to put it in PowerPoint and save it and mail it to yourself. ChatGPT cannot do that for you. Pata pata, you just give it the prompts, it will use search and give you results, even though that is also a kind of agentic workflow. But on agent mode is basically thinking about what needs to be done using your computer, right? It has this feature where it allows me to see if there's an highlight that was done, where it pretty much takes over your computer, the mouse, your keyboard. So again, what else is there? Your mouse and your keyboard. That's pretty much how we interact even with our systems. So imagine where you give a query, a prompt, and it thinks of what needs to be done, breaks it down into tasks, and boom, goes all out. Let's see. Agent mode, is it here? So basically, that's the big idea of agent mode. It does the work. I know ChatGPT, had that feature. Again, they teased it, they released it quietly, they call it computer use. You know, which pretty much does the same thing, where you just give a prompt, then it goes on by itself, and you will actually see it use, you know, your computer system and all that stuff. Let me see if I can find. They didn't really give a visual. Let me see if I can find
I think
some more details about.
it was
So, but what do you think?
yeah. Again, I'm probably going to be seeing Jarvis a lot more because this is actually where that usefulness of this AI systems come in, because they are now like stuff that actually are useful for you as an individual and able to adapt to your own specific needs. I know that one time I tried with ChatGPT, I did something, I came up with like, oh, we had iterated together, and I was like, oh, can you remind me about this in like 2 days? And I think it just fell short there. I was like, oh no, I can't do that yet. And then I was like, oh, if I'd used Gemini, would you have, but I don't think Gemini then could even do that still. And I wondered why, because like you're already connected to my entire ecosystem. I use a Pixel, you have my assistant connected there, you have my calendar. Why can't you? It's sad because like they already reminded you, like they could back then, like they already, like maybe 2 years ago, your emails, your assistant can like remind you of like I think flight trips or something that's coming up, or even payments that are expiring. So I think it's about time, really. Yeah, I think this is the preview down there on this same screen you're actually looking at.
This one?
Yeah. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Down there.
The YouTube, is it the YouTube?
No, not the YouTube, the Google I/O page where we just left down there.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see if we can zoom in a bit. Exactly. I was wondering because I know they showed features. So you see, and at different points, you can imagine where maybe should you want to buy something, it can actually do that purchasing for you. Of course, where you need to log in your credentials, it will allow you, fit that in. Again, privacy concerns and all that stuff. Yeah. So so you see, it creates a plan. You good. And again, just to mention, so if you want to access this, you need the ultra plan. Yes, this one, yes, I think is available already, but you have to do with the ultra plan. And the ultra plan comes at a $250 monthly subscription. But then they are giving a 3 months discount where you pay, I think, $130 or so, for the next 3 months. Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, I think I don't want to say it's not affordable, but like it's affordable for the people that is affordable for $130 for people who find value from this. I don't think it's asking too much. But then hearing Ultra, I wonder what they're going to come up with next after Ultra, because it's starting to have a lot of the names Ultra, Mega, Supersonic, because the needs will keep on increasing.
Yes, and they just find one bundle, and I can imagine when we get to AGI, and you'll be like, AGI becomes like a model where if you want to access AGI, like Zen plan or no, beast mode or something. You get.
Yeah. I think that another thing that we are starting to see a bit more of is like a lot of these tools are starting to feel the same. I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's like everybody's doing at this point, everybody just doesn't want to be last in market. So because I saw this and I was like, okay, you just mentioned computer use. I guess OpenAI launched theirs first. But then there's also like tools like Manos, which already also do like similar things. So okay, maybe the more tools out there, the cheaper it becomes, or
options
more options are available. Yeah, so Ultra plan maybe next week or next month to start. It should just be another regular plan.
Yeah. I'd say, I think you're correct with the idea that everybody is just copying each other, basically. You get, because this is a new frontier. Nobody has cracked it. Nobody has completely figured out the best use case. So it's like, okay, they tried this. I remember when Google actually launched deep search. They actually did that first. Then OpenAI comes with their own and gives it the same name. You understand? Like everybody is just trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to use? Okay, now I know. Then they'll add their own extra features. I mean, Google definitely has a lot more options, because they have an ecosystem that is people in different ways. So it's a lot easier to integrate Gemini in different things that we already use. And we are seeing that coming around actually.
And they have the data. But doesn't this also make you wonder, like, how much more capabilities do they already have? Because OpenAI releases something and then it's not as if they're in the same group chat unless they have like insider information, which I don't doubt is happening. So like, how come it's when okay, these guys are going to launch this one this week, or they just announced it, then suddenly, oh, we did this, we did this, we did that, we did this, we did that at the same time. So I wonder how much more that they have that they're just like, if you
waiting
guys
for
know.
everybody. They wait. It's a game.
Yeah.
It's like market dominance. Everybody wants to always flex. Have you noticed how they always want previous fast announcement before a major event? Like typical Google has IO, a day after OpenAI drops a partnership with IO, Johnny Hive. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it's like everybody they know what's up and they're just trying to. It's a game of being on top, if you ask me.
Yes.
What an interview Sunday did recently after the IO, and he's not surprised. I mean, somebody asked him that question, like, what's coming up? How do you feel about this new partnership with Johnny Ive and OpenAI and all that stuff? He'd be like, yeah, well, there's always something coming up. That he said he would not be surprised if a day before Google I/O 2025, OpenAI drops a product calling it I/O. Do you understand? Yeah, so they all have this idea of, we know what we're working on and we just want to come across as we're on top, we know what we're doing, and we have the moats, we have the best products, or we're leading in the industry and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm sure that there's some internal communications that go in, that somebody somewhere is telling them, okay, this is now waiting the sub with this, or things like that. Yeah. So yes, agent mode is available, but behind a very fat paywall if you are interested in that. Again, OpenAI also has a feature like that. Their own is $200. They have
They call it, I mean, see that line, they literally use the same word. Computer use is a part of a broader set of tools we'll need for an agent ecosystem to flourish. Like the names.
So it does it now. It's obvious. It's obvious. Again, for me, I think it's a case of low hanging fruits. You get, there's some things that are just obvious and probably easy to just spin off. You get, because there are already frameworks around some of these things. The idea of computer use is not necessarily new because of Gen AI. You get, but it's like, okay, developers already know these things are possible. So like, okay, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Let's just slap this and that together and boom. You get, it's now making it useful. Because a lot of time, if you notice, even OpenAI's computer use, they didn't really loud it like that. Why? Because of one of the current challenges of LLMs, which is that long time continuous work. You set up an agent, after a while, if it continues to iterate and iterate, it kind of derails. That was why recently Anthropic released Claude 4. You get, and one of the variants, one of their selling points was like this can work up to 7 hours of agentic workflow. That means it can work for that long and remain on course. To put this in perspective, when you're having conversation with ChatGPT and you're going back and forth, it does feel like sometimes it loses context or it forgets what you are saying, or I'd be like, no, now you keep having that correction.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that is a problem. So imagine now you set up an agent and you let it loose. Imagine where you've given it your credentials, your PayPal details.
You're gonna buy a house for you in somewhere.
And do everything they there or more. So you can
give all your money to charity.
So it's us. So yeah, so I think the major thing is just finding how these things can be useful. in a way that it is predictable. Yeah. So if you are into that, you can try out agent mode for those who are listening or watching, however it is you are consuming this
I'll make
content.
sure you have your money in your hand for your super ultra access. But on a lighter mode, do you think that this will usher in like the end of that "Are you a robot?" question, or prove that you're not a robot? Because this is literally a robot that's clicking things.
Well, I think they are finding creative ways. Oh my guy, the point is this whole thing, it is disrupting because
Yeah.
this is how some of those computer use systems work. They just take screenshots. And we're in the age where we have multimodal LLMs that can understand images and understand what is there.
Yeah.
And where this agent also has access to your mouse. You get now the way captures typically work is not even necessarily, which is again where there might be some, it hasn't been figured out completely yet. They don't just check if you click it. They check how precise you are able to click it. Humans, like you see my mouse now, we don't exactly go on straight lines, even though and straight, but there's a bend. So those are the things that the system actually checks. So again, it is either to work out a system that can easily bypass those things, but I'm sure we definitely have to rethink how we verify, humanity. That takes us to the idea of the world. But that's another talk for another day, but yeah, so I think that's basically it. Yes. So another thing that was discussed, power of personalization. I think this is just something we already saw coming. That is pretty much an obvious thing. Where especially with Google, you already talked about that. But the major feature here that was flaunted is the idea of having Gemini understanding your context, is able to go through all your Google Suites, either your slides, even your drive, and your emails and stuff like that, and kind of, understands a pattern of how you typically would respond to emails, and yeah, and speaks for you. Let's hear. Okay, there's actually no audio here. So basically it learns your writing style, and yeah, just responds to you. So, but what I'm not really sure exactly. Okay, based on what you are saying here, there's still human in the loop. You still need to, confirm it.
For now.
Yeah. You still need to confirm it. So in my head, I'm asking, so how is it different from what is already here, where you can pretty much, this magic stick thing, is compose response and stuff like that.
I don't think I've ever used that. I don't think I've ever noticed it before.
I know I do. Once in a while, though.
So how does it work?
So it's basically you like reply for me. Okay, think about it. Let me see. It's like the way you use ChatGPT. You have a draft, and it just rephrases it, rewrites it, and all that stuff. But the point of having it here is it's within your reach. It is within the product you're already using. You don't have to go out of it. So because when you click on it, it brings out that dialog box where you just your whatever it is you want to rephrase or stuff like that. And it will now ask.
I think it's also like that context thing. And I was going to really say that, might as well do this. Is everybody's already, like, many people are already using like LLMs to generate emails anyway. So I always say that it's that dead internet theory thing where AIs are communicating with each other and we are just we are the conduits. Yeah. Well, I guess these guys have more context now because maybe before the magic stick thing was just like I had context for that email thread, and now they're expanding it to learn. Because with ChatGPT, for instance, you have to. It doesn't necessarily know your writing style. It just knows how you ask questions, and then you have to now tweak or go back and forth. Okay, I don't like this. Make it shorter, or make it sound more personalized. Make it sound more human. But it really does not have a basis for what that is for you. And so now these guys, they have your whole history, they have your Gmail, they have everything, and then they can see a pattern, and then they have the context of the email, and then other drive links. So maybe we'll see less and less of I find attached below, and then there's no more attachment. I mean, they already started prompting you, right? Like if there's no attachment, or you mentioned attachment, but you didn't add an attachment. So, but now like literally they can find the attachment for you and attach it.
That
Yeah.
one said, that's true. We have to. There has to be a very clear line between how much information these systems have. Imagine anyway. I'm sure there should always be human in the loop. Imagine in the spirit of being proactive, it's trying to attach a file, but it's the wrong one, or it is when you have different documents, same document, same file name, but V2,
Copy.
V4.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, anyway. I guess that's why they are probably gradually rolling these things out. Yeah. So yeah,
And this is just one example. Smart replies is just one example. So
yeah. So it learns the way you do. All right. So now another one is AI mode in precisely AI mode in search. I know before now actually they've been doing AI overviews. I don't know if you've noticed Google's AI overview. When there are some questions you ask, it will give you like a very quick summary of response in about the results that instead of giving you blue links, but this is a very interesting one. Let me see. AI mode in search. I
think that
let's see.
I can't help it if I'm popping, see them watch like it's outrageous how this flavor got them shook. Hold up. I feel fabulous. Show me how you gon' work it out. I hit it back with a brand new style. Bring it up into the full, get wild. We turning up all the way on the down like work it out. Come and show me what you're all about.
What else should I do to make it stronger?
To make it stronger, consider adding more triangles to the design.
FABULOUS every day like if you want it, come get it, no disrespect. Work it out. I hit it back with a brand new style. Bring it up into the full, get wild. We turning up all the way on the down like work it out. Come and show me what you're all about. I'ma shout it real loud and proud like, baby, I'm fabulous. Work it out. I hit it back with a brand new style. Bring it up into the full, get wild. We turning up all the way on the down like work it out. Come and show me what you're all about. FABULOUS every day like if you want it, come get it, no disrespect.
All right. Alpha. You know what comes to mind?
Let me see if it's the same thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah?
I said, let me see if it's the same thing that comes to my mind. Go first. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
It's just
exactly
in the flesh.
Exactly.
With a face cap that shows Google.
Yes. I had to write it down on I literally wrote it here, compete with perplexity.
I'm telling
because,
you, that's
the whole perplexity thing, at least on that front, is kind of like making Google search outdated, or even ChatGPT and all of those guys. ChatGPT earlier it struggled a bit because it didn't have like that live context, but now that it's connected to the internet and all of that, it has kind of reclaimed that. But it does make sense that Google is like taking back the narrative. Yes, like literally the guys are search. So you know what? Instead of just AI overviews and stopping there, instead of you to go to Perplexity or these other guys, just the way you always use Google. So I think that over the past few years, it feels like the term just Google it has reduced. And so they are trying to find their way back to like making sure that okay, this guy will remain relevant. So the new way to search is now back to I think they are trying to like take that back.
Take it back, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's good. It's good for us. It's good for the world. Competition is good. You get, but it's just sad that a small startup beat them to it.
Is it
But
sad?
yeah, but hey, that's just what it is. I'm looking. I'm really. It's not yet. This is one of those features that is not yet live for everybody. I think it's
Yeah.
free available. It's also obviously free, but it's not out for everybody yet. I'm sure. Hopefully by next month. From now, a month to now, it should be made available. But look out for it. I think it really, really takes advantage of this Gen AI thing in every way. Where before in my sessions when I teach people AI and all that stuff, I talk about and I explain why perplexity is on the slide in the first place. I'm like,
Yeah.
perplexity came in to do the googling for people. In other words,
Yeah.
you'll have done by yourself. It
Yeah.
takes, and I don't know. I don't know whichever search engine they use behind the hood, but let's assume they use Google, right? It will do that Google search, read the web pages and all that stuff, engages you, allows you to have a conversation with the results. And that's basically what they've done here. And they've
Yeah.
even stretched it beyond that. They added deep search. They added the ability for you to show charts. You can actually
Yeah.
shopping, and things like that. So
And
they just, more than just now typing, they added the whole, Google Gemini Live to it too. In other words, that will also, characterize your search. So it's not just text now. I know, Google Lens, just like you said, where you can, use images. Now they've, incorporated everything into one. And I mean, it's making sense. It's making sense.
And they are Google after all. So they have
Mhm.
like
They
they
can
have the
afford.
data. Yeah,
Yes.
they have the data. Like right now, they already have that, and I think it's cool because AI overviews when they first launched AI overviews, like it didn't go well. Like so for the first few
Well, at
few
all. It was telling
weeks,
to
it
take
was
rock.
telling people exactly to kind of boil rock or something. And I think that's the challenge really, which is where like some of these startups they have an advantage because all of these big corporations it's harder for them to move fast because and also the stakes are higher for them. Right, these new startups can make a mistake and then they get lawsuit and they get dragged out and whatever they fizzle out. But they that serve over billions of users, one little feature can literally like scatter people's lives. So they have to be a lot more careful.
Yeah. Yes, that makes sense. I think one of the things they also showed was that try it on. Say you are doing shopping, you get, and you can actually try on some clothes that you see that you like want to have for yourself. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I mean, MKBHG did, a review, a short review, about it, and apparently even fortunately or unfortunately, imagine you are doing virtual try on and there's a dress and a guy wants to try it on. It will also fit it on you. You get, and it gets a bit awkward and weird, but I mean, just to seeing the possibilities of what can be. Imagine when you go to Yaba and you just see, these clothes, or yeah. I imagine where even if it's not through Google's own try on feature where you can just take a picture. I mean, I know mockups exist where you can use mockup, but try on is a bit more customized because it analyzes your own anatomy and tries to imagine how that, garments or whatever clothing fits into your own anatomy. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Is it really though? Because it does feel like it's that thing where, like we said, a lot of these other smaller companies have been doing is like AR, and I know that there's AR that you can use to like
Check,
to plan your space, your
yeah.
house. Okay, does this couch fit in here? So he already knows like he has that spatial awareness, and then it's okay, this is the measurements and stuff. And then I think like with just that computer vision, you're able to look at because technically, unless it's like a live image, I think it's still technically like the same. Take a picture and then it will just like fit it in. But it still makes sense because like now he has to understand the outfit. I wonder how this works. Does it have to be only clothes that are available on a particular platform? Because those are the ones where they have like the full dimensions and they know how to like adjust it and cool versus like a random image somewhere else.
So I think the way this works, particularly before you can actually even use the try-on, you need to take a picture of yourself that is full. In other words, your full picture, not like, the way you can't just use the feature by having like a portrait shot of maybe a headshot. You have to use the full, image of yourself from head to toe. So I guess that allows it to really understand, the features of the person. Then, you can imagine where the picture pose that you put, imagine say you put your side, it will figure out how it will look on you from your side profile. For me, that is where it's a big deal. You get, because it wears it for you, and whatever pose that you have, so it's not like you are just having a static, stand up straight, stand up tall, whatever pose that you have, it will fit it into you. For me, that is the customization. Yes, the technology exists in AR, but to this level of customization, I don't think it's possible. The way when you use text to image and you can keep consistent characters, that already, that was a big deal before, but right now people have cracked it. So I imagine that that's probably the tech under the hood where it captures your image, quickly understands it, fine tunes itself on it. Then whichever kind of clothing, it will just fit it into you because it has gotten your profile. And it's able to do every dimension of it.
Takes away of course, those of us that like selfies, I don't think we are the target audience here, because you have to find either a stand or someone that will do. And I imagine that maybe it might be a whole 360-degree or 360 picture.
No, it's
Or is
just
it
the
not?
front. It's just the
It's
front.
just the front.
Because it's already possible now where you have models that can do 2D to 3D. You get in terms of the texturizing, but even apart from that, you have models that can generate, multiple perspectives just by having front profile. So since that already exists, it's just making it useful in this sense.
Yeah, which is technology they already use in the Google Beam as well. Like, because it's AI that is adding that extra 3 dimensions.
Yep. So yeah, that's AI mode. I believe this is already available, but again, it has not shipped
In
yet.
US and India.
Exactly, it's just shipped to US. Yeah, it's literally written here.
US
So
and India.
US and India. Yes, they mentioned that because that
yeah.
their largest users are. I wonder where Nigeria ranks.
I think about it. I think maybe until we get to, like, on the IO stage and we have like people there.
Kini
Or we
AI.
have like more AI. Do you get? We have more AI like guys playing big, and then they can start launching in Nigeria.
Yeah, we get mouth for ESF now. Come on, they should give us.
Now, you understand? We'll start seeing biggest markets.
Exactly. They are like Lagos is the Silicon Valley, of Africa. You get.
Which I don't even like the idea of using like all those Silicon Valley to compare. Of course, it makes sense. It makes sense because they pioneered a lot of stuff. But really, it's to be great to the point where we have our own identity for ourselves and the things that we're doing, and it's not just from here and then this is
that. Yeah, again, I agree, Jare, and that's exactly why Kini AI is here. To create that awareness, to help people understand that we can also make stuff. We can also be in the front seat in this whole tech AI revolution that is happening. So yeah, sign up, subscribe, plug in anywhere you can, and just keep in tune.
Click the button here. Subscribe.
Yeah. All right. So next up. So yes, big reveal, Gemini 2.5. Well, not like a big reveal really, but it's the funny enough. So 2.5 already launched before IO. And they've actually been, if you like, you remember that whole the first charts, they've actually been releasing, incremental updates gradually. Like at least March of this year, they had 0.5 Pro, and I think they've constantly been improving on this Gemini series. And it's actually very, very good, if you ask me. You know, I remember I was checking the leaderboards on LM Arena, and it's interesting to find out, or maybe I can find that. Funny how Gemini tops. I'm like, across, you know, all the spaces. I'm like, really? Even like the code or chat arena, LM Arena. Let me see if I can look it up. LM Arena. Anyway, but meanwhile, let's see. So what do they have for us here? All right, Gemini 2.5, a more personal, proactive. So obviously, I think they just found ways of including it in the already existing products that exists. You know, but it has really gotten better. Okay, yeah, this is May 2025. Say Pro 2.5 Pro. Yes. 2.5 or beyond, you know, incredible performance on benchmark. Let's see which benchmarks they reference here. I think another thing they also made available is they made some of the features available in the API. You get, okay. You know, most of, if you want to use their latest updates, you can try out Google AI Studio. It's also it's free to use. I think we'll probably have to do another video on that where we walk through what AI Studio has to offer. So yes, the deep think. So by default, actually, if you use 2.5 Pro, I think that's also something to note. By default, it will think. You know the way when you use ChatGPT and you have to activate thinking. Yeah, but with 2.5 Pro, it will always think. You get similar to DeepSeek R1. Whenever you use it, it will always think. You don't have to, you know, ask it to think or not. I think, and they've really refined it. Aha. So we have the benchmark on mathematics, on code, on multimodality, and it tops.
But why is it just this like two? Okay, I guess those are the highest. Gemini itself and OpenAI, like it's comparing itself with itself. There are not any other ones that come close.
I mean, when I saw this multimodality one, in my mind, I'm like, what's the difference? I'm like, what's the difference? Oh, not just, I beg, everybody just want from, it's not a lot, but I mean, come on. I think overall, 2.5 Pro is actually very good. I've used it. How? So recently, I've been doing side by side with ChatGPT and Gemini, although I have a subscription with Gemini, so maybe that's why. Just come to think of it, maybe that's why.
So we balance. Can't do subscription on both of them.
Yeah, I'm not using O3. I'm not comparing with O3 model, but the difference is clear. The difference is clear. So I find myself always, you know, leaning on. Okay, I always preferred Gemini's responses. You know,
when you said by default now it will think, that was very funny to me when you said it, because I'm like, imagine a human being say, okay, right now, by default you would think, you're like, okay, what was going on before? You're just talking. And I think that really just reveals a lot about these models, because people a lot of people put a lot of trust in them. This thing said it must be true, and there's not many people are literally outsourcing their own thinking to it. I know it's not exactly like, it doesn't exactly like transfer in that same way, but it's just like really it puts things in perspective. Just the need to continue to understand that these guys are still being workshopped, and that's why I think some people compare it to still a child or a toddler, or maybe not a toddler anymore, but the advancement is rising.
Yeah, this is one of the
the really subtle nuances of how we speak. It can even seamlessly switch to a whisper like this. So the model can begin speaking in English, but then ये हिंदी या किसी भी और भाषा में switch कर सकता है. And switch back, all with the same voice.
So this is a recent update, right? Before you couldn't do this with Gemini 2.5, right? You get this is how, yeah, if we're going to check the studio, you have different models here, you know, and of course they have different capabilities where you have media generation. I mean, there's a whole lot. You get Gemini speech generation. This is the one they were talking about that does different voice styles and voice profile. We're going to do another video on that, definitely, to explore how these things. But there was a lot of updates. Like it was like they went beast mode this time. Like let's just put in everything and give everything that needs to be done. Especially with the coding capacities. I know before Claude 4, dropped a few days after IO. I mean, before then, even gone up till now, I think Gemini is still leading the pack. You get in terms of how it's able to code and create products. Because if you check even in the AI studio, you can create apps right within build. Yeah, this is it. You can literally build apps within Gemini right now. So there's a lot that's has come up. But I think the major thing really is how they are just featuring the capacities of Gemini in different products. You get in different. I think that's where the value comes in, because sometimes not everybody knows how to put some of these things to use. You get, unless they wrap it around a particular feature. You get okay. Is just trying to check the leaderboard. So this is LM Arena. It means it's a blind test. So different people, you can just come and use the model, put in a prompt, then depending on the answer, you get two answers. Then you now have to vote on which one it is. After you vote, it will now tell you, okay, this is the model that powers this. So you see, on the text base, we have Gemini topping here. Afterwards, O3. Web dev, that means its capacity to actually develop applications. Up until the release of Claude 4, Gemini was topping. Jonathan, look at the margin self. It's just like very small, Then we have vision, Gemini is topping. We have search, Gemini is topping. Copilot, okay, Gemini is not there. Text.
Perplexity, I see there. Perplexity is so nice and where.
Mm-hmm.
No, if you could scroll up again, I saw PP like for the first time on this list.
Yeah, here.
On search, right.
Clearly.
Let's see how it changes when these guys have brought their AI search, AI mode in search.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so at least that's true. Perplexity did not show anywhere else. Anyway, come on. This is pretty much how they entered the game. So they have some ground here. So yeah. So I think that's just checking out Gemini 2.5's ability to really, really do stuff.
And I've never tried Google AI Studio, so I was a bit fascinated by when they launched Stitch. And so, like, are you telling me now that Stitch has technically existed within Google AI Studio since?
Mm-hmm. It's been there. So again, which is why a lot of all these things Gemini can do, it is packaging it around something that people can use. The way I see it as, if you have Gemini as a chatbot or even AI Studio self, some people might not be able to figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
Imagine Notebook LM. Everything Notebook LM does, you can actually do on Gemini. You get, but it is just putting a product around it and making it useful for people, and which is where the opportunities come in. If you're listening, thinking about, okay, what can I build around what I'm already using AI for? You get, just let it be powered by any of these powerful LLMs, and boom, you have yourself a startup. Yeah. It's true now.
Literally one feature away from being sent to the graveyard, by the way, just putting it out there.
Where
if your product is one feature release away, then I mean you just think about it.
Exactly. So there's that balance of, it has to be useful enough that people want to use it, and technical and complex enough that not anybody can just recreate it. That even when the big guns, make it an update, you will still have a market share. that'll be
It's actually useful. So there's still market fit that you have to.
Exactly. So yeah. So I mean, a whole lot more was discussed around Gemini's updates. That's the 2.5. Yes, of course. All this they also put up in the Gemini app itself. You get so the Gemini app actually had a lot more updates. I mean, when I was using, let me even pull up my Gemini. Okay, I have it saved here. Gemini. Okay. Yes. So first off, the Gemini app, either what we have on the web or mobile, you get. I know we've not gotten there, but there was a really redesign. You get, first of all, the deep search is also, of course, they started the whole idea of deep search anyway, but they've now, powered it with, Gemini 2.5 Pro, which actually does a lot more in-depth review and more reasonable. You get, because I'm a subscriber, I'm able to use the 2.5 Pro well here. I think free users don't always have access to the 2.5 Pro. I think what powers their own deep search is the 2.5 Flash, right?
Oh, really?
But yeah, but in the canvas, let me see. Let me see if I can.
I have Pro Preview, I have Flash, I have Personalization Preview, and then the prompt is upgrade to Gemini Pro.
Oh, so you still have it then?
Yes.
These people have scammed us. So why so why is Pro different? So, but I think
I
that
guess.
no, I think that maybe there's a rate. Yeah, I think there's a rate of how much you can use per day till you have downgrade to.
And I think it will be very short. I think I did try Gemini, and before it told me, oh, you have reached your limit. So that is, I guess that's the idea of the preview that they write there.
Exactly.
Test.
So even your feature, I can generate with VO3, because I'm a pro subscriber. For those who are not subscribers, you probably will only use VO2, So let me see.
I can't even see that on mobile.
The video on.
Yes, let me try opening this side as well to see if it's something that happens. Yeah, I just have that deep research and canvas. There's
Okay.
no video.
So now a justification for our subscription. Yes, now come on. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm just trying to check up the Canva feature here, because the last time I did, I saw it gave me several options. So this is just asking a very random question. Of course, this Canva feature is not so much of a big deal, because I mean it's here, it's everywhere. But you are able to now create different things, from your canvas, which is for me like, okay, this is making sense. It's still doing a research. You don't do now. Aha. So we now have, I just asked latest development in AI. Let's see, does it even go online? I'm not sure. I think it's using its training data. But this is where I'm coming to. So you see where you now have an option of creating a web page from this. You have creating an infographic. You have an option of creating quiz from this, or an audio overview, or describe your own app. This is the big deal. This is the new update. You understand? So then I say, okay, I want to create a web page out of this. Of course, it's going to go on, write the codes and do all that gymnastics. So this was the update that they showed. It wasn't there before. Before, what you could only do was share with, open in Docs. It will export it to your Google Docs. But now they've added some more functionalities to it. I'm like, okay, all right, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Which is again interesting, because I've said interesting so many times on this call. Wow. But this is again Manos. Like, I was checking Manos, and they literally have that same, turn your prompt into whatever, so into a web page, and they have like a few use cases. And then these guys here are
doing the same.
Literally allowing it to do the same.
Exactly. That's Shabina. We don't talk on. Is everybody's just finding out how to make it make sense. Okay, we've seen, okay, these guys have thought about it, they've used it and it works. Okay, how do we scale it up with the resources that we have?
Can you see the preview now, or Are you able to click
No,
preview?
it's still writing.
Okay.
Still writing. Yeah. So yeah, we'll come back to that. So yeah, there were several other updates, Gemini Live, personal, proactive, powerful, Imagen 4. We're going to get to that shortly. Then they also talked about Gemini in Chrome. I don't think that's live yet for everybody. Again, this reminds me of, Google ChatGPT also had that extension where you can add ChatGPT to your browser, but it's majorly like the default search, so that if you put anything in the search bar, or your address bar, it will be processed by ChatGPT. At least that's how far they integrated their plugin, So, but I'm curious to see the other ways, that Gemini. Let's see.
I mean, do you understand this? It's really that thing where it helps with like summaries. There's a big deal of SEO and understanding, like web crawlers are understanding like the sites, but now it makes it a bit more, that TLDR. A lot of editorial sites, for instance, have that TLDR where you don't have to read the whole thing. And so I guess that is it, just giving you like an overview of that page without you having to do too much. A few browsers have something like that where I think Arc has something like that where you like it summarizes the whole page for you and then you can act on it. But now Google is not embedding it as a default feature. So even if you're not using a plugin or something, it just does it.
I mean, several people have, like we said, it's just a feature away. Several, companies, like there was this Monica. There's one that I used one time. Monica is like an add-on, just like I have here. This one on my thing was in Mind Studio. It's a plugin. It has this pre-built agentic workflows. Okay, it's still loading up now. So people have found ways of shall you see, you get deep research. It can do like literally TLDR. It can do different things, using the context of what is already on screen.
Which of these poses should I do for the racing podium?
The article mentions that the arms crossed pose can look confident and relaxed. On a podium, it could project a cool and collected winner.
Nailed it. Thanks, Gemini. Welcome to Chrome.
Yep.
I don't know about that last use case, Sha. It feels corny. Like, you try using your laptop's front camera, the mirror effect can be so off. Well, again, they're showing you all the possibilities.
Exactly. So I'm waiting to see how they would do it. I mean, the canvas picture really does a lot of that. For me is even so keeping it basic, simple. All right. Simple web page. Yeah. It's interesting how as at last year or 2 years ago, this will have been a big deal. Like, that's a website that you just literally just now. You'll have needed one kind dev skills before web development gymnastics. But now this is it.
Yeah.
Just copy it and host it somewhere and that's it. Yeah. So I think that's a bit of what we can touch. So a lot came out with the Gemini app. It's a whole lot. We can take more time to jump in. But they also talked about, the generative media, which is where a lot of waves happened, right? Yeah, I mean, this for me personally, it's very, very impressive. You get, they talked about flow, but let's see, because there's a whole lot more, not just flow. So bottom line, Google has an updated video model, right? This View 3, is like, this is the gang. And the major part of this that's like the game changer is, the typical text to image, text to video models, don't come with voices, don't come with audio. Now, although some small startups here and there have tried to find ways to include that in the workflow, right? But, and even with that, the challenge is usually the lip sync, where even when there are humans or characters in the video feed, it doesn't match. It's very awkward. But this one, it nailed it.
They left behind a ball today. It bounced higher than I can jump.
What manner of magic is that?
As in.
The crazy thing here is like beyond the speech, the background sound, the synced steps, everything.
This ocean, it's a force, a wild, untamed might. And she commands your awe with every breaking light.
As in, first, just like less than 6 months ago, what am I saying? Early this year, AI still had issues with hands. Generating hands in image, not even video. Like, we have very awkward hand, rendering and all. But you see how fast you've come, where we now get hands well. We now even add voices. I'm like, wow. So it's crazy. So, and if people have really been doing a lot of crazy stuff, since the release of it, where, I saw one video where people were creating prompts that made the characters in the video say, don't tell me we're generated by prompt. Why generate this? Making me sad. I'm like, wow. Like,
We
this
brought up that whole existential thing to like, are we also generated by prompts?
There was a video I watched. Somebody sent a video to me about I don't know, this random guy was talking about how we could find hints in the Bible that the world was created with prompts, where God will say, let there be light. It was light. I'm like, we're trying some very nice parallels. I'm like, yeah, think about it. I had a session with a guy who was telling me that, the way he understood prompt engineering was like, so it's like prayers. It's like prayers, knowing how to, package your requests and saying it and speaking it to life. And I'm like, this one deep. You get, but for me, just seeing how things have, rapidly improved is like, wow. I can imagine the use case for you can imagine people doing storybooks, explainer videos, tutorials, children explanations, like in different formats. I'm like, this is a very powerful tool. You get, it's just your imagination. It's just how far you go. Yeah.
Like, I wonder how this would change like the entire internet, because already, like, for instance, platforms like YouTube already have like a ton of videos and resources. Will all of this sit on the same YouTube like as a platform? Because now people can create like an unlimited amount of, you can literally curate your own content for your children. I know that's a concern for many people like YouTube Kids. And so now you can create your own cartoons. Like, it's just, okay, the children are no longer watching all those Ben 10, Tom and Jerry together. They're literally watching a cartoon that nobody else in the world has seen.
You can tell the story you want them to learn.
Yeah.
You get which can be good or bad.
Can manipulate them like,
exactly.
This child did not do the dishes. Let me create a story that will traumatize them and make them.
This is the dawn of a new era. I remember when they launched like the Gemini era. It's crazy. So then there's of course VO2 had some updates where you can kind of control how the camera moves and all that. Of course, these creators, video creator, movie creators, skits makers and stuff like that, this will be very, very useful. Where you can now decide on how you want the camera to go, and a host of others. But I think this particular one is available in the API. It's not necessarily available for the consumer facing products. Then they also talked about flow. So flow is basically what Sora is, or what Sora tries to be, where they now have that UI where you can actually use different generative AI tools, majorly video and images, and you can combine them together to create a video flow. You can start from image to video, then you can create something out of that. Then you can extend, your stories. You can, reprompt the way the story would go. A lot of creative options that are available, with Flow. And for me, that is like, I mean, look at the kind of samples that we're seeing. It's just what you can imagine. What you can imagine. As in,
this will change. For instance, like you are not coming up with the models because like, imagine all these films how they work. You don't have to go and find a car that is old. You can prompt that car. You don't have to do some fake purchases that you are going to waste.
Take a picture of that car and put it up and use it.
So you don't have to do Blender. You don't have to do Blender and do the whole animation and
yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, so again, just like we said, it's like one of all these options of somebody figures it out and tries to find out, okay, how can we use it? How can we put it in our own products? So this is Sora. You get Sora, well, it pretty much allows you create images, but if you want to do video options, you can do, combine pictures, write your own story and all that gymnastics. You get. So this is
some of these videos are so cool.
So
of this video. No, cool. Like see that cat. It's so realistic.
Close-up shots. Imagine if you have to go to the studio to get a cat to be this still. Exactly now. Anyway.
Imagine if people use this for like oh
yeah, I think for creative flow, I tried, even though I'm supposed to be able to use it, create with flow, but because I'm not in the US, unfortunately, we can't do so. I can't wait for it to ship. So once it ships, you'll be
if it ships.
No, I'm sure they will. They're not going to disappoint. You get so the only thing I can do here is just image. I can't create video. It will tell me friend, it will tell me that it's not available. See, it's telling me to subscribe, even though I'm already subscribed. But yeah. So we hope to see how that turns out. So this gives a lot of power to creators. You get imagination now, you get.
I like that they're targeting it at like filmmakers because the thing about the AI and the creative industry is like there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of this is going to replace me and going to replace me. And so it feels like what they're doing is really just pushing this as a co-pilot. And allowing, instead of it to be something that ends your creative process, this is something that really can just improve parts of your creative workflow that are less than ideal and just give you a lot more possibility with less.
Absolutely. So that's it. I mean, another thing that was discussed, I just remembered, they also talked about Leah. Leah is like the text to voice as music model. Let me see. That was something they also.
There's many other things. Even Jules. I think they talk about Jules.
Jules, exactly. Yeah, Jules. I mean, there's such a lot in terms of the dev side. I mean, we're only reviewing the keynotes.
Yeah, the keynotes.
In the keynote, there were a whole lot more. You get, so Lyra is also their model to create music, like Suno would do, or Idio. Those are already like top leading music generators in the space. They already have this music DJ, that you can create songs, but again, that Lyra is like at another level. It can do a lot more. But I guess we'll just have to create another video for this where we'll go through all this.
Yes, there's a lot.
So I think we've pretty much touched most of the things that was presented. Google Beam, of course, that's not available here yet. Does the whole video thing where you can like have a sense of presence. But apart from this, most other things are like mostly available or about to be available. We have Project Astra, Marina, again, agent mode, good Gemini Live, personalization. You get that can check your email and stuff like agent mode, AI mode in search, Gemini 2.5, the app. You guys can start trying out actually. Do something, put a prompt in, try whatever business you want to do. Ask for advice, generate an app or something. Try something. That's pretty much how you can make sense of all these things. Or else it will just be theory, but try to do something with it. These announcements are going, it might fly over your head sometimes, but we've walked through Gemini, we've walked through different things it can do. Try something today. You can, share with your friends, share with the Kini AI community guys. We're going to drop links in the comments, whatever things you can join, so that we can see. Let's see how we are using these tools, in ways that will really make life easy for us. So yeah, any last words? Well, not last words, parting words.
I don't know if there's any better, but yes, this has been quite the journey. I think just going through all of this conversation, and there's literally like we have not touched so many other things. There's still hardware, there's still this, there's still that. I'm really just going to record what you've said. The possibilities are endless. And one thing that comes to my mind is like, the excuses are reducing. Right? Because before they used to be, oh, I don't have money to hire this person, I don't have money to do this, I don't have money to learn this. Like it's getting easier to like just learn stuff and access them on the devices that you already use. Like even on the free plans, there's so much access. So just try. I know it can be overwhelming sometimes, but like the more you use these things, the more it makes sense. And then by the time the next drop comes, you know what it does, you understand it a bit better, and you can apply it. Like so, the possibilities are endless. And for me, it's that kind of okay. I've literally been thinking since these things came out. Like, oh, what can I do? What greatest ideas? But it's just like, oh, they did it. Actually, they thought about it and they made it happen with what was existing. So, it's just my own encouragement to African creatives. Just try.
Yeah. Just try. That's it. Just try one prompt at a time and see what happens. If you've watched the video for this long, you try.
Exactly. So
this is like
try. Yeah, it was like 1 hour plus. We have done ours like
talking. But yeah, it's all good. We're gonna have more of this. Let's know. Maybe this is too long. It is fine. Let's know. We like to hear feedback. Let's see how we can improve on what we do. So Kini AI is here. Remain curious. Remain adventurous, and just do something. One prompt at a time, and see what happens. Yeah. Thank you. Bye for now.